Yay! Hello, hello. Welcome back. I'm so excited for the conversation I'm about to have with my dear friend, colleague, sister, sexy goddess, Brittany. Oh my God. You guys are going to eat her up. And the
Good.
conversation.
I'm bite-sized.
Yeah.
Really good.
Oh, that's such a perfect, like, you're bite sized, but your energy is so big. So you guys, before I allow Brittany to introduce herself, I'm just going to give you some backstory on how Brittany and I got to where we are right now on this podcast. So I moved to Colorado in February of 2019, 2020. Nope.
Who knows? I
It was
mean, we can get years.
2021.
Yes.
What year are we in? I'm so used to saying I quit my job in 2019, but I moved to Colorado in 2021.
Yes.
And I had no friends. I had no one. And so I joined a couple Facebook groups. And the day that I joined a Facebook group, Brittany also joined a Facebook group and posted that she was hosting a women's circle.
Can we speak to how random this Facebook, y'all, this was not women empowerment babes. It was things, outdoor activities in Colorado Springs. So random. I'm like, well, this one's a long shot.
Yeah. It was the most like synchronistic miracle connection you could ever ask for. And so I signed up to go to her women's circle and I met her in real life. And her entire experience, like that women's circle, I know I've told you this before, but that changed my whole life because that was my first time being seen in my bigness and in my sexiness, and it liberated me in so many ways. So that's the backstory on how I met Brittany, and I'm gonna allow her to introduce herself.
I mean, gosh, we could just talk about our meeting story. That is so incredible. And I just want to say, and this might give you a little insight of me and introducing me, that event was my first event in person. And
Wow.
I will never forget the woman I had to become to show up in that space. And I remember you. And I remember you came with these sexy, bell bottom pants, and you
Yeah.
were feeling yourself in the movement. And to see how different you are now and how much more embodied and liberated you are in your sexy and your power, it's just insane how much can happen in however long it has been for both of us. Yeah.
Seriously. Oh, it's so true. Like being in a room with other women and having the audacity to be seen in that is, I mean, it really does set you free from so much. And like I said, it changed my life. It changed how I showed up. And I'll never forget too, you saying, I see you over there, sexy. And I was just like, oh my God, like I'm being seen and I can be celebrated in my sexy. And it felt so good. So yeah, that just speaks to the power of your work. And I didn't even know that was your first one.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you definitely showed up as that woman for sure.
Yes. And I had my support system. And again, it's that's the importance. We'll get into it, guys, because clearly this might just have to be the topic for today. But this idea around being held and seen and supported in it all and in your bigness. So yeah, that's incredible. Me, I am a women's leadership coach. I work a lot with entrepreneurs. And it's so interesting because as I've evolved in my work, and even hearing your story, what I actually do right underneath the titles and the fluff and blah, 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 is really help people be who they are and be fully expressed in who they are and create a space and a sisterhood and a community where that is 100% cultivated. There's a very specific type of energy. I mean, you felt it in that room. It's you either feel safe or you don't.
Yeah.
And the more I evolve in my work, the more I just go back to that. What beauty. Yeah. And my story, there's so many layers of me not feeling safe to be who I am or be, I mean, gosh, raise your hand, all of us in this room listening, like the moment you do step into your light or in who you really are, it gets suppressed or someone has something to say. And there's been so much of that in my life and in my upbringing in high competitive Division I sports, where I always suppressed my bigness and my truth and parts of me that that are ready to be seen even bigger. So
Yeah.
that's a little bit about me. If you have any specific questions, let me know.
I love it. I do. I'm curious how you got into doing this work. Like, what was the catalyst into being the feminine leader that you are?
Uh, it's so interesting because even when you say feminine leader, I'm like, who, me? Like, me? Like the other day I asked my friends, like, am I feminine or more masculine? And they're like, are you kidding me? And for me, like even the work of getting into my feminine has been a journey. It's been something that I've had to mask with performance and achievement and masculine. And like I said, I was an athlete where being a girl was kind of uh, looked down upon, and we had to act like the guys. And I think for me, this work started showing up in a lot of different ways, but I do remember in sports how disembodied my leaders were at the top. And I remember feeling all of this potential of who I could be and my skill set, and almost feeling like it wasn't even like the space I was in didn't even have the capacity to help me rise into that. And from a very young age, I started thinking about, gosh, like here we are focusing so much on our physicality and our skill set, but like, what about our mindset? What about the woman in me that doesn't feel like I can be successful because of, whatever my environment is telling me? And so I think it's always been a really big passion of mine to lead and lead on the teams where the leaders weren't really leading. And I've always been seen that way. And yet I never wanted to be a coach because sports, I feel like, traumatized me in some ways. But when I got into my career, I was actually an event director, which I was telling you about on the side
Yeah.
because I loved it. But again, I got in that because the story was I had to be on top of it. I had to be organized. Like in order to be successful and achieve, I had to be masculine and looked at a certain way. So I actually ran two companies. I was worked my way from the bottom to the top of two separate event companies, big event companies in San Francisco at the same time. And I was crushing the game. I felt like I was in my ultimate high in my career. And yet, at both of those companies, all I wanted to do was design my own job. And I'd come to them with ideas and I'd say, why don't we just do this? And I was always innovating and creating and looking at things different. And luckily I was in jobs that let me do that because I didn't go corporate. I went for the places that like I could wear 10 million hats and like do it all.
Yeah.
Those
Oh yeah. I was in corporate and still so seeked out those jobs.
Oh, yeah. Well, exactly. You're like in corporate and then you're like, okay, I'll just have a little side hustle over here with this work because, ooh, this feels fun. And that's what was happening. Like I had my full-time job, but it wasn't enough. And so then I seeked out this, I helped like sustainable designers. I ran a huge outdoor market for like 5,000 people. And it was so fun for me because it allowed me to create my own thing. So I think basically at the peak of my career, I learned like I have this inner badass, innovative being. And like somewhere I knew this was going to be worth a lot, like of money, and that like I could create my own thing and live and design my own life. So I quit. And it was a hard process to get there. But when we moved to Colorado, it was kind of a forced quit because my partner was getting his master's here. So that's kind of the segue into starting. for real, not just pretending, because we do that.
Oh yeah. Oh, amazing. I love that like the sports aspect of it was almost the catalyst for you to like change the shit inside, like what a leader actually is. And you said the word disembodied, like that, the disembodied leader. And I want to know the difference. Like, what is that disembodied leader compared to an embodied leader? Like, what's the difference? How does an embodied leader show up?
Oh, I love this question because it could look so differently across all industries and for everyone. But when I think about now, like when I look at us and what we do, and anyone who's listening who's a coach, to me, when I was disembodied in my leadership, I was looking for people around me to tell me I was enough. And because of my own pain and suppressed dreams, I would project my own shit onto other people. Therefore, they didn't have capacity to rise to their potential. So when I think about my coaches, and not all of them, but towards the end of my career, it was this feeling of like, wow, like I feel like if you were more confident in yourself, then I would feel more confident around you. I would have permission to be bigger, not smaller. And it's so sad because I do feel like you don't even realize when you're disembodied. And it's hard in the coaching industry because sometimes in order to get embodied, you have to move through everything that is suppressed and that's holding you back. But an embodied woman, an embodied coach, let's say, like they are the person that walks in the room and you just feel something from them. They activate something within you without even saying anything, doing anything, because of who they are, because of who they've allowed themselves to become. And in that, it has really being for me in business, I am who I am. Like my business is an extension of who I am. So I can talk about whatever. And if I'm embodied in it, you're going to feel the congruency and you're going to lean in and you're going to magnetize to me versus, this old paradigm of let me be the expert, like let me know everything, teach everything, and tell you you need me.
Oh, I am just over here smiling ear to ear. Like this is the work that I stand for, we stand for. And the key component that I want to pull out of that was that sense of self-trust.
Ooh,
Because you said confidence and you said like if you had confidence in yourself, maybe I could feel a little bit more confident in myself. And that confidence is essentially that trust in self, right? And something that you always say, which is kind of the foundation of your work, is like lead yourself. Right. And I have chills all over my body right now. Wow. Just as soon as you speak to that, as soon as like someone understands what it means to lead yourself, like that's when the perception of how people view them is so differently. Like we were talking about the perception of how people view you, right? Or before we recorded.
yes.
But yeah, I'd love for you to speak on the aspect of self-trust and self-leadership.
Oh my gosh, that's so good. And if you're one of us, like let yourself get chills, let yourself be moved by this conversation too, because we need to have more conversations like these. And Sarah and I were talking right before we hit record. I mean, those are always like the best things. So I want to bring them out in this podcast. Like I was straight up telling her that for the first time, like I'm seeing myself the way other people see me. This powerful version of me I don't see sometimes. And when Sarah and I, so we're doing a really amazing collab that we'll talk about at the end, but when I was invited into her world in this way, the first thing I thought was like, oh no, not me. Like, I don't belong here. I'm not sexy enough, powerful enough. And to allow myself to be the match for that type of room, was self leadership. Like that was me trusting in who I am and my enoughness. And it's been a journey to lead myself here. And I think for any woman who's really in their power, there's a story behind her. And
Oh
if
yeah.
you're curious, enough and hear it, then you see yourself in their journey. So my job is not to sit here and like talk about like how embodied I've become, but to talk about how I've led myself and how I'm still leading myself here. So when we think about self leadership, to me, I mean this happens in so many areas of life, but recently my I've been just owning my power and my desire for more. So in business, when you step into this new expansion, which I'm sure we all have faced at some level, there's these parts of you that show up where you're like, ooh, I don't think you can come, right? It's like when you really start owning what you desire, the scariest part is being so honest that that's what you desire, not because you need it, but because you desire it. And then facing all of the parts of you, all of the relationships, all of the patterns that are not a match to that desire. And for me, I mean, the hardest one recently has been in my relationship, in my partnership. I'm engaged, and I literally had a moment of, am I going to go through with this wedding? And it was the scariest place to be because it's in those moments where you question, is leading myself to a life of more really fucking worth it? Or is it better to just stay right here, be good,
Yeah.
right? And not have to fear losing parts of yourself and your life that are not a match for that.
Yeah. Brittany, you probably can't see my arms. My hair is sticking up, which just makes me even more excited for our collaborations because
Yeah.
like if I'm being moved on the screen right now, just think about how people are going to be moved in real life.
Yeah.
Um, okay, I love that conversation of will I let myself have more? Right?
Mm.
Like there's something that I always say is like, how much longer are you willing to rob yourself of your biggest
Mhm.
desires, your boldest life, rob yourself of your desires? And that just like sparked that conversation of like, there is something inside each and every single one of us that is bigger, is bolder, and that doesn't there's not a right or wrong way of what that looks like, but it is inside of us. And that desire, if we lead with that, if we lead with the permission slip to actually have it, be it, do it, it is terrifying.
Oh, amen. Like, can we just name that elephant in the damn room?
Yes. It's terrifying because it means, like you were just saying, letting go of the parts of you that are familiar. And
Yeah.
you guys, I've said this before, I will say it again. There's a big fucking difference between what's familiar and what is safe, right?
Mm.
We think the things that are familiar, us playing small, us going, living the life that we're already like in control of. Um, we think that that's safety, but really that's just what's familiar, right? Safety is that overflow, is that living life on purpose, is leading yourself.
Ooh.
I
Ooh.
love this. So,
Oh, and I love how you just attached leading yourself to safety. Like, what does
mhm.
it look like to feel so safe? And to go back to what you said, to trust yourself so much that no matter what, you're safe, you're okay, you're alive, to lead yourself from that place. Because we could lead ourselves from safe familiarity, fear, lack, all of that, and that's fine. But if you are here to lead yourself to a life of more, to a business of more, then y'all better bet, like, you better figure out how to find that safety, that self-trust, that you're okay. And that piece right there, if I think about my programs and my clients, that's the piece that then dictates their results every time.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So good. I love this like living a life of more theme that we're on right
Oh,
now.
That's why I'm so excited. Yeah,
Uh,
because you know that's your jam, and you've given so many permission, so much women permission, including myself, to live into that.
thank you. Thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
Okay, so speaking of owning your business, so another conversation we had before we recorded, you guys, was how I described Brittany as like the Christina Aguilera of the coaching industry, of the leadership industry, because so okay, I'm gonna give backstory. Brittany and I were in a Zoom room with other powerful women, and one of the powerful women messaged me after and was like, "Oh my God, I love Brittany. She's so powerful." And I was like, "I know, right? You would never, like, she takes up so much space. She's big, she's powerful. You wouldn't believe that she's physically so little, right? Like,
5'1" for the record.
5'1", beautiful. It's just like the energy and the physical piece is like, whoa, like that's coming from her, just like Christina Aguilera, right? She's got that voice that is like explodes the room. And I would love for you to speak to that, because I think there are a lot of women listening to this who maybe don't think that like they can do it. And you've touched a little bit on this, but I want to dive deeper. How can someone, or maybe how can you help someone take up space and to own their bigness?
Gosh, I'm getting chills because this is something I'm still learning and doing and learning and doing and unlearning and evolving into. And I think as long as we keep owning our bigness, we will always be peeling back these layers. And I shared with Sarah, I was at an event this weekend. Of course, it was called Powerhouse Women. And for me, like what I would say for people from my own experience, um, is like get yourself in the room. Like get yourself in the rooms of women who are bigger than you, who are liberating themselves right alongside you, because there is nothing more healing or powerful than to show up wanting to play small. So with this weekend, I literally was so afraid to like wear my like this hot leather top, because my stories are like, oh my God, the rooms I've been in, the friends I've had, it's like, oh, there she goes again, you know, and then I go into patterns of over explaining or justifying. And I realized in that moment when those triggers were coming up before even walking in the room, I said, you have led yourself to a different fucking room. This is not the room to play small. This is not the room you will be suppressed. In fact, this is the room that if you get up on that stage and twerk, which I did, they will clap even louder. And those are the rooms you have to commit to being a part of, because until you lead yourself there, you're going to keep shrinking because of that desire to be accepted and connected by the people who don't get it.
Mic fucking drop. That's the clip. What time are we at? Okay, we're at, okay, I got it.
Clip.
That's the clip.
Christina clip. Let's go. Like give me that mic and that WWE ring that she was boxing in.
Yes. Oh my God. Oh, Brittany. Wow. Like what, that right there was leading yourself, right? And you guys, like, take that conversation that Brittany just had with herself and make your own version of that. Like, have that conversation with yourself. Be your own best hype woman, right? Like, hype yourself up. There's nothing more powerful than a woman who believes in herself.
Yes.
And
here's, oh, I'm sorry.
No, go for it.
Here's the, sorry, not sorry. Whoops. There we go. The crazy part is I had these epiphanies by like being in these rooms, and I did a live on this, and like I can share that with you because it was so potent. But what I realized is in that moment, I am actually going to trigger people.
Mm-hmm.
There might be people who are triggered by me liberating myself in this room, and I am no longer responsible or willing to carry that. That is no longer mine to carry. And that's the shift that we have to keep making again and again. Cause I think like 5 people unfollowed me today when I did like post my dress of me being big at that event. And we have to be willing to let those people go.
100%. Yeah. I mean, being a powerful woman is one of the most triggering things in the world.
Yeah.
I'll actually never forget, I had this man comment on one of my stories or one of my reels, and it was me at a boudoir show. It was really fun, really powerful. And, he left a little nasty comment and was like, your content makes me sick. And
Really?
and my first response was, well, yeah, like a powerful woman will always make an insecure man sick, right?
Ooh,
Um,
yes.
and that really is the truth. Like, and I meet him with love. Like, he obviously is going through things, and my essence, my energy, my power does trigger him, whoever he is. I don't even know him.
Right, right.
But the reality is you in your bigness will trigger people, and your responsibility is not to make them feel safe, but instead activate them to be
Oh,
their bigness.
oh, I love that.
Because a trigger can be both.
Mm,
It can be a trigger, and if you don't know the trigger exists, you can't heal it. So like you are enlightening them on their own wounds, and that's an invitation for them to heal and rise with you.
oh, that's so good. Mic drop right back at you.
Woo!
Girl.
So good. Okay. So something else I want to touch on, because this is big for you, big for us, but really big for you. You've actually been such an initiator in this for me, which is in-person events and like filling rooms with women who like really accept and want to see each other win. So I just want you to speak to the power of sisterhood for a moment.
Yeah, I can't even speak enough about not even the power of sisterhood, the need for sisterhood, the non-negotiable of sisterhood, and what that looks like and feels like the right way, because there is wounded sisterhood. There's so many groups where you might feel a part of, and then all of a sudden you feel less than. And so to cultivate the right type of space and group of women is truly my superpower, and I will own that, because for so long I'm like, oh, that's too easy. Like, I need to do all the other things. And I realized that the power and the superpower of learning how to cultivate that is what creates massive expansion and explosion in business, in life, in everything that women desire. So for me, I think that sisterhood built the right way, where you do have a space where you can be seen, and not just the power self. Like the event this week, they said, we're not going to feel like a powerhouse every day. I don't want you to just show up in your powerhouse moment. I want you to show up and dare to be seen at your lowest. I want you to come in here and tell us you're scared. And in that duality of I get to be seen in both in my power and in my shit, creates this embodiment of yourself that you cannot learn on your own. Like being in relationship is mirrors. I
Mm.
actually started in relationship coaching, and so I've known that, like, when we come together and become mirrors for one another and we allow ourselves to be all of ourselves, that trickles out into our business and everywhere in our lives. It's very necessary.
It is, and it's so healing.
Mm,
I literally cannot, there's no words for it. There's no words for being in a room of women who do want to see you win. Um,
mm,
and I'm just so grateful because you're building a room right now. We're building a room, but right now you have a really exciting room that you're building.
yes.
And I want to talk about it. Tell me all about the room you're building.
Yes. I mean, the best part of this room, everyone, is that it is freaking virtual. Okay. So this is like the first room I have built in this capacity virtually. And why I'm doing this and why it felt so important to create a room for women across the globe who are listening to this podcast, who are seeing us on Instagram to be part of, is because all of the rooms I have created have literally changed lives. And I've seen it again and again, and these women soaring, coming out of them, that I thought, what if we created a space and a room that was so accessible to all that we could come into our power together in the masses, and we gave every woman an opportunity to feel this energy that has changed both of our lives and all of our clients' lives. And so I'm doing a free, which blows my mind. Like, let's see if these are free in the future, but a free virtual summit. And it's called the LeadHer Pop-Up Summit. It is bite-sized, but it's so jam-packed with potency at the same time, kind of like me.
Yeah.
You're just gonna be blown away. And it's not just what you learn, it's the calibration you receive from being in the room with women who are being bigger, talking about bigger conversations, having next level conversations. And I'm so excited because for the first time I'm opening up this kind of like what I do behind the scenes, the conversations I have at all levels. I've got my mentor as one speaker. We've got the beautiful Sarah, y'all. So really, if you weren't sold, like, this woman is going to be such a huge part of this event as a speaker, because she's someone I'm walking with alongside in collaboration. And then I'm having my LeadHers, the people who have walked this path and led themselves, speak. And we're bringing people in from all levels to just be bigger together.
So good. That global impact is happening for your company. That's incredible.
I feel it. Yep. There was the deep, and now it's the wide.
Yes. Oh my God. Oh my God. That's like my thing right now.
Wow. No wonder why we're like, yes. Sign me up.
I love it. Ooh. So cool. Wow. Like, that's literally the theme of my, I just love it. Okay. Give us dates. When is this happening? And yeah.
Yes. So the summit will be September 12th through the 14th. It's going to be 3 days, 2 lives a day. Sarah's speaking on the 13th. Get your butt in the room. We'll send you the link where you can sign up.
Yeah, it'll be in the show notes, you guys. Again, this is, like I've said, Brittany has changed my life with like a 3-hour, maybe, was it a 3-hour women's circle? Yeah. Just imagine what can happen over 3 days with Brittany and with other really powerful guest speakers. It's free. Oh my God, you guys, it's free. You've got to sign up. Your whole world is going to change. I'm so honored and excited to be a part of it, because I know that I know that my message and my bigness can impact, and that's something that I'm in the process of owning. So thank you for the permission slip.
Oh, yes. That's the beauty. It's like you get to be part of the stage, and everybody hopefully will feel that way by just joining. Yeah.
Amazing. Okay. Where do you like to hang out the most so everyone can go follow you?
Instagram, definitely. So my name, you'll put it in the show notes, hopefully.
Yeah, it's for sure there.
Okay. Yep. It's my first and last name with a period in the middle. I love Instagram. I'm also really pushing my edge to show up in my bigness and my sexiness. So come root me on. I'd love to root you on right back. But yeah, that's where you can find me.
Amazing. I'm so excited. All right, you guys. So LeadHer Summit, pop-up summit. Follow her on Instagram and get ready for 2023, because Brittany and I are not done. We have more collaborations, more impact, more things in store for you. So just keep your eyes and ears open because we got some things.
I mean, like, talk about bringing you into a room. Sarah has something cooking that is going to blow all of our minds. So yes, definitely stay tuned.
Love it. I love it. Well, thank you again. And you guys, this was, I mean, I had chills practically the entire time. So I know this moved you. And if it did, why don't you share it with a sister that you know could benefit from this type of conversation? Because more women get to support each other. And this conversation was literally that. So I love you guys. Thank you so much for listening. And I can't wait for the next episode.